All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Flop Podcast, episode 18. We are recording this Sunday night, right after the Oscars. Got a lot of good stuff coming up, but first, a short interlude from my old high school band.
All right, welcome back to this episode of the Flop Sports Podcast. Danny, big night out there in LA. You're finishing up quite late. Maybe not for you, but very late for me here on the East Coast. It is almost midnight. But how was your viewing of the Oscars?
Yeah, well, as you know, the Oscars are actually called the Super Bowl of Los Angeles. They give us the Monday after off every year. None of that is true, but
I was going to say, we don't even get the Monday off for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right. The Oscars just wrapped up. As always, they're underwhelming, but, lots of good speeches and stuff, lots of names thanked that nobody knows, so, it's always fun.
I will say I watched about 0% of the Oscars, but I did hear in the background at dinner tonight. I went out to dinner, and I heard in the background some screaming on the Oscars. What was that about?
Oh, well, security had to escort me out, and it was this whole thing, and yeah,
Okay, all right. Well, that brings us to the big three. Now, Danny, we talked extensively about this, or extensively, excuse me, not exclusively. I'm pretty sure everyone talked about this.
No one else is talking about this.
I'm pretty sure everyone talked about this. Extensively, we talked about this via text. So I want to hear your opinions. But Robert Kraft arrested in a sex sting operation down in Jupiter, Florida. Kraft is among more than 200 people, police say, who engaged in sex acts with employees of a targeted massage parlor in South Florida. According to police, every person who will be charged was caught on videotape. Police say Kraft made 2 trips to the Orchids of Asia massage parlor in Jupiter, Florida, about 1 month ago, and thus faces 2 counts of the charge. Florida police said details about the charges against Kraft will not be released until next week.
2 trips.
So that's probably why I couldn't find it, because the details aren't out there yet.
Well, all I have to say is Bill Belichick a genius or what? We win the Super Bowl. He's got to find some way to motivate the team. So he tips the cops off to Robert Kraft, and he's like, if anything, I'll get the Pats and Brady ready for next year. This'll do it.
It's not really Belichick's tactical nos, if you will. It's not really what he does tactically on the field. It's his methods of motivation. He'll stop at nothing to motivate this team, whether it's spying on another team, whether it's deflating footballs, whether it's getting your owner caught up in a sexting operation. Like, the man's a genius. I think that much is for sure.
Yeah,
but I mean, does this everyone, praised Robert Kraft and all he's done and stuff, but does this shine a new light on him that maybe you're not okay with?
Look, if you're a Patriots fan, then Robert Kraft has, maybe been a little on the wild side the last few years. I mean, he's dating someone, much, much younger than him.
Naturally.
For many years, which there's nothing wrong with that, but clearly he's having, a little bit of a late stage life crisis. He's dancing on the stage with Cardi B. So he's best friends with Meek Mills. All fine, but all combined kind of paint a picture of a man who's 77.
Yeah, well, someone was reporting that, he could possibly, get a deal to do community service. And as soon as I hear the community service aspect, I think of people picking up trash on the side of the road. and then I try to envision Robert Kraft picking up trash on the side of the Florida highway. And I just, I don't really see it, but I could be wrong. Maybe that's what he'll do. I don't know.
Some of the details of this are crazy. Robert Kraft is worth $6 billion with a B dollars. The rates at this massage parlor for the the activities he was receiving were like $50 an hour. This was not like a high end like $2,000 escort. This was not that at all.
Yeah, no. But as far as it affects like the sporting world, ESPN basically put out a fact page, FAQ, frequently asked questions page about all this Robert Kraft stuff. And one of the questions was, would this have any possibility that these charges forcing Robert Kraft to sell the team? And basically, no. So, in short, it's not going to affect the Patriots at all. It's just another mark against a team that already has like 12 marks, but they'll probably win another Super Bowl instead.
Yeah, he's gonna get a big fine. He'll probably be suspended for like 4 to 8 games, but after that, I don't think.
What does suspended for an owner even mean?
You just can't sit in the box anymore.
You can't go sit in the box. Okay, darn, I'll have to watch the team from home. Yeah. Like, it's not like he's coaching or playing. Like, it doesn't impact the game.
Yeah,
it's not like Tom Brady shows up to the game and he's like, "Oh no, my star owner is not here. I don't know who to throw the football to." Like, come on, man. Another big article that came out earlier this week. Massive investigation by ESPN. 2 years, spanning 2 years. I can't even imagine over 2 years. But looking into the whole Tim Donaghy story, but even further than that, looking further into the NBA and the refs and fixing the game and stuff. I have read a good chunk of the article, but man, 2 years of research, that's going to be a long article, and every word so far has been captivating. But what are some of your thoughts so far as you've read this, a little bit of it too?
You want to get paid, you gotta cover the spread.
Yeah, that's the motto.
That's what stood out to me from the article. But it is, I mean, like, we all knew this was a thing, but to have ESPN kind of lay it all out in one article and a very comprehensive investigative report is pretty damning of that time in the NBA.
Well, the big thing is, most people think this is a 1 year thing for Donaghy, and that's kind of where all of it comes from. But this spanned over 4 years. This spanned over a long period of time. This wasn't just a couple games here and there. This was probably hundreds of games, at least.
Yeah, I feel you think about if you were a ref and you're like, I can double my salary from 2 games. I'm not going to stop at 2 games.
So yeah, reportedly he got paid $2,000 if he was able to cover the spread. That's a fair change of money. But before he even started doing that, he was betting on his own games.
Yeah, exactly.
Every game, and that's how this other guy kind of caught up with him. And I also learned that a lot of the league's referees are from Philadelphia. So who knew?
I knew I couldn't trust those Philadelphians.
Yeah, couldn't trust those Philadelphians. We'll definitely put a link to this, but you brought up, kind of that Simmons conspiracy theory there, that, the NBA just wanted to paint this as, oh, this is just Tim Donaghy. By the way, I want to compliment you for your just terrible spelling of Donaghy in multiple spots here on our show rundown. But
I spelled it like a 4th grader would.
But they really the NBA kind of wanted to say, this is just one ref and move on. But this article kind of goes a little bit more into it. Maybe it's not. Do you think, especially with legalized gambling now, kind of going nationwide, and the NBA, Adam Silver's been a big proponent of legalized gambling, and the NBA getting into that ring, do you think this helps or hurts possible fixing games?
What do you mean by helps? Helps or hurts?
Do you think it by legalizing it, that it's more mainstream and there's more checks and balances to it, so there's not as many opportunities for it to be able to get fixed, for games to be able to get fixed? Or does this hurt it because now it's more mainstream? Now it can go through so many different channels.
No, I think it's gonna be an even harder thing for them to control now.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely laid out both sides in that article, so definitely one to read. Now, earlier this week, UNC and Duke played, and for the first 33 seconds of that game, man, it was everything cracked. It was cracked up to be, but after that, it was just bad. That's because Zion Williamson had the shoe torn round the world, as they might say. So he breaks his Nike shoe. So we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But you know, NBA's been talking about lowering their draft age for a while, and the night after Zion Williamson gets hurt and has to miss 2 games, pretty much, they just submit this plan to lower the draft age. Coincidence?
More conspiracy. Maybe they broke his shoe on purpose.
I don't know if they broke the shoe on purpose, but I think his terrible shoes that he was wearing were the culprit there. But yeah, it is interesting, that they would make this rule at that time. I think lowering the draft age is fine. I just think if you're gonna, I really have always been a big fan of baseball's rule for college baseball. If you go to college, you got to stay there for a couple years. If you leave straight out of high school, that's fine, go. But if you go to college, stay there for a couple years.
Yeah, it seems like that would benefit both college and the NBA more to do it that way, and the players, because forcing them to go to college, I mean, everyone's talked about it, but it's not fair, and it is taking advantage of talented players and essentially taking money from them.
But here's the flip side of this: is yes, I want players to have their option to be able to go to the NBA, get paid, start their pro careers, or to go to college if they want that experience. Because I think in college, Zion Williamson was not going to be the number 1 overall pick before he went to college.
Yeah.
He did not become this Zion Williamson. He was a big star coming out of high school. He was one of the top recruits in the country, of course, but coming out of high school, everyone was like, I don't even know, he might have to stay there for 2 years because, all he does is dunk. He's big body. I don't know if he's got, the speed and the game to play at the NBA level. That's not a question anymore that we're asking. He's going to be one of the most transcendent prospects ever in the NBA. But, college definitely made him who he is. And I think it's helped a lot of players more than it's hurt players over the years.
Why do you think we need a rule at all? Why can't it be let the players do whatever they want? They go to college, they enter the draft, who cares?
13-year-old just going to the NBA.
Well, yeah, but if you're 18, you graduated from high school, why do you have to go to college for 3 years? Why does there have to be a restriction on that?
I just think, the one and done era has definitely hurt college basketball a little bit. It hasn't made it unwatchable, but it's these teams are, you don't really know who's playing anymore. There's just all these one and done guys that, come through for a year. They're not going classes. They're not really taking this college experience seriously in a lot of ways. Some are, a lot aren't. And so I kind of think if you're going to go, at least stay for a little bit. And I think it would benefit them too. Why not? If you don't feel like you're ready right away, you're probably not going to be ready the next year either.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't agree, but
Let bygones be bygones. All right, moving on to the NFL. We'll get to some power rankings in just a second, but I want to continue with the Patriots news. According to some sources around the Patriots, they were aggressively trying to get Odell Beckham Jr. last year, and before the God said, no, that's not fair. And I mean, how in the world were they going to go out and get Odell Beckham Jr.?
I know. I feel like this is a classic after the season ends. It's the Patriots were trying to get this star player that the news never broke all season.
That's another thing. I feel like this is definitely one that we would have heard about during the season if it was a real possibility.
Well, we know that the Giants were thinking about trading Odell Beckham, and I'm guessing
for sure.
The Patriots called, and the Giants were like, wait a minute. If you're calling us, then we're not doing it.
If you're calling us, he's actually a good player.
Yep.
Well, speaking of guys that will be playing for the Patriots next year, Devin McCourty said he will be back. Gronk undecided still.
I know.
Do you think McCourty should still be playing?
Well, McCourty's not that old. He's 31. I know that he talked about, he and his twin won the Super Bowl. What else is left? So, yeah, I mean, I'll take him back.
I guess I'll take a
Gronk on the other
solid
hand,
starting safety.
Gronk's about to go WWE on us, so that'll be unfortunate to lose him, but I wish him best of luck.
I think Gronk's done. Like, it's just not worth the wear and tear on his body anymore, honestly. Like, he has put in his time. He's going to be a Hall of Fame tight end. There's really nothing else that he can get out of the game.
Yep, even from a legacy standpoint, like Brady can still add to his legacy, whereas Gronk, it's like, well, he kind of did it all for a tight end at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like, traditionally tight ends don't have this kind of legacy, so he's already kind of done that, there, done that. Yep. Le'Veon Bell, officially a free agent. First of all, are you surprised the Steelers aren't going to use that franchise tag again?
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe they would spitefully franchise tag him and then attempt to trade him.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But I guess they were just over it. They were like, you know what, we're done with this.
The Steelers seem like they're over a lot, and we've got some more Steelers topics coming up. But now that he's officially a free agent, where's the spot you think? Yeah, that's a good fit for Le'Veon, and they're gonna pay him the money. They're gonna back up the Brink trucks.
All right, my first instinct is the Indianapolis Colts, because their whole team is overpaid guys past their prime. He's a perfect fit.
Not their whole team.
Every single player.
Andrew Luck is still a young quarterback.
Over the hill.
All right. All right, so that was your first thought, but what are you actually feeling?
I mean, the Jets would just be the exact team to offer him a huge contract.
Yep.
Just has Jets written all over it.
If it's not the Colts or the Jets, I don't know who it's going to be. Like, those are the only two teams that I can think of will offer that massive contract. But here's the thing with the Colts is, like, they're a smart team now. They are run by a good general manager finally, and they are actually making a good plan for the first time since they had Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't the same team that would just go spend a bunch of money on random free agents like Arthur Jones or whoever else. Like, they're actually building a good team now. They're getting pieces on defense. They're having good NFL drafts. Is Le'Veon the right piece? I don't know, but they do have the money to spend, so I could definitely see them taking a shot there. Going back to the Steelers, we all know Antonio Brown, he's done, but the Steelers are only trying to look at NFC teams right now to trade him to, unlike, Le'Veon, who's probably going to end up in the AFC.
Yeah, did you hear the first report that came out was the Steelers have ruled out AFC North teams and the Patriots?
Well, why in the world? If we're not going to trade him Odell Beckham Jr., you can guarantee we're not going to trade them Antonio Brown. The last time that the Patriots had a star wide receiver, what they did?
We traded him.
No, y'all went undefeated up until the magic of Eli Manning defeated y'all.
And then we traded him.
Yeah, and then you traded him. But no Patriots. But I think this kind of further strengthens maybe the 49ers case to get him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we talked about this last week. We talked about potentially the Seahawks, potentially the 49ers. I think those are two potential teams. The Cardinals would he might not want to go there, but that's a team that I could see maybe adding him as Larry Fitzgerald's getting older, getting ready to leave the league.
Larry's never going to retire. He's never going to retire. He's just going to keep playing football, and then in the offseason, he's just going to go around taking pictures on his camera and going to the Aussie Open. That's what he does in this offseason. I wish I was making it up. Steelers also, they want to change the Rooney Rule. Of course, they're pretty much the ones that founded the Rooney Rule, but saying it's not really being upheld. It's kind of a joke now for some of these teams. What kind of changes could they actually make to make it more effective?
Yeah, well, this is interesting because what they said is they basically want to like have a comprehensive review of like, did this rule actually work and what happened? I believe over the last 2 seasons, only one job each cycle has gone to a minority candidate. So I think they're saying like, we made this rule, but let's see if it's actually working, and if it's not, then let's see what we can do to make it better.
I mean, I think it's helped. Has it solved the problem? No, not at all. But I think more and more people are getting interviews. So, like a lot of guys will say, no, so and so is not getting an interview or is not getting a job this year, but they get valuable experience because they are a minority candidate. So they are one of those candidates that goes around for a lot of the other jobs, and maybe they gets some teams like looking into them, being like, oh, maybe this is a guy potentially for the future. In some cases, like the Raiders, it's doesn't work at all. They're going to hire John Gruden no matter what, and never really paid any attention to the Rooney Rule. But I mean, I think it's helped a little bit. Would you agree?
I mean, yeah, it's great that minorities are now in the running for roles, but I don't have a problem with like saying like, let's take a look at it and see if we can make it better. That's all.
For show. Bears. Cody Parkey, no more on the Bears. The famous Doink Meister, Cody
The double
Parkey,
doink.
the double Doink Meister, has now been released. A lot of people, including the coach, were not all that happy with him making those appearances after he missed the kick. I never thought he was a bad kicker. I think he just had a little bit of bad luck. I think kickers go through that every once in a while.
Yeah, I like the guy. I hope he goes to the Falcons.
all right. We already got our Italian stallion kicker that's going to replace Matt Bryant. You want to look at these some of these power rankings.
Yes.
So let's take a look at them. The Rams, number 1.
Yeah,
disappointed?
I was a little surprised by that. But sure, why not? Maybe if they change the names of their plays next year, But I feel like the Chiefs should be number 1. I don't know why the Chiefs are number 1. I won't stand for it.
I don't think you could put both teams that weren't in the Super Bowl not number 1.
The Chiefs need to go number 1. I think they were the best team this past year, and
I agree. I
think they're going to be the best team next year. This is ridiculous. I'm angry.
Chiefs number 2, the Saints number 3, and your Patriots down there at number 4.
Well, mind you, this list came out before the extra motivation from this past week.
The extra motivation. Okay, so now they should just be like, all right, next season the Patriots win the Super Bowl. It's over. Chargers. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say Chargers. I'm surprised they're this high up, to be honest.
I'm not, because they're really, caught on towards the end of the season last year. I think they have all the pieces in place, and they're only going to add this offseason through the draft and through free agency to what they've already built. I think offensively they're solid. They're going to get some guys back from injury. So I think they're a very sneaky pick. The Bears at number 6. Can Mitchell Trubisky take that next step? He had a great season this past year, but another year working in Matt Nagy's system, maybe he takes another big step. And hey, they won't have Mr. Double Doink himself as the kicker, so they might actually have a chance to win some of these close games. Here's an interesting one. The Indianapolis Colts, they were everyone's playoff darlings after they got that early upset, but the Colts are number 7.
That's pretty high. They must be anticipating they're getting Le'Veon Bell.
I think they are, because they mention in the power rankings that they have $120 million in projected salary cap space to work with. Rounding out the top 10, Seahawks number 8, Houston Texans number 9. I think the Texans are still a solid team, and I think they might be a little underrated right now. And the Baltimore Ravens number 10. I don't know. I think there's a team missing from these top 10.
Yeah, like if you jump down to about number 20, the Denver Broncos recently acquired Joe Flacco, and they're at 20.
Not who I was thinking of.
Just imagine if this guy plays, anywhere near that one time that he played good for those 4 games, they're going to be great.
Not at all what I was thinking of. I'm actually thinking of the Falcons. I mean, why aren't they higher up? Like, they did not play with Devontae Freeman, their Pro Bowl running back, for basically the whole season. They were without their Pro Bowl safety, Keanu Neal, for pretty much the entire season. Their Pro Bowl linebacker, Deion Jones, out for most of the season. And a guy that was on his way to having a Pro Bowl season, Ricardo Allen, their free safety, also was knocked out for the season. They get all those guys back, plus they're going to add in the draft, plus they just got some good compensatory picks. So, I mean, I think they're going to make some big money moves this offseason, and they're going to be contending right there with the Saints next year.
They'll be making money moves. Did the Falcons?
I don't misspeak.
Did they get a new OC?
They did.
Okay, I'm on board then. I'm on board with the Falcons.
As most people are. Dirk Cutter, who was the Tampa Bay head coach last year, is their new offensive coordinator. He was also formerly, before he had that job, the offensive coordinator for the Falcons when it was Mike Smith as the head coach. But that is pretty much all the time we have for the NFL. Of course, we're getting into the NBA in a wild return from the NBA All-Star break. We'll break that all down coming up next. All right, welcome back, everybody. We now hit the NBA running as they have after the All-Star break. A lot of storylines in a very short amount of time because that's what the NBA does. They just fuel those storylines. And first up, we got a homecoming of sorts. Toronto and the Spurs. DeMar DeRozan returned to Toronto for the first time and actually got a standing ovation from Raptors fans. Unlike Kawhi Leonard when he did the reverse. What do you think about that kind of dynamic there?
I mean, I think he deserves the standing O because, the difference here is DeMar was like, I'm going to be in Toronto forever. I love this city. And Kawhi Leonard was like, yeah, I think I'm going to sit out a year because I don't feel like playing. So I think the reactions are justified. Unfortunately for DeMar DeRozan, last play of the game, he gets stripped by Kawhi Leonard, who lays the ball in on the steal to seal the win. So that was unfortunate for DeMar. Yeah,
not his one shining moment, but 23 points in his return home. They didn't get the win, but DeMar DeRozan, he was kind of a hero for Toronto because Toronto had never had like a star like commit to a city before DeMar DeRozan because the last guy they had was Chris Bosh, who obviously went to Miami. Before that, they had Vince Carter, they had Tracy McGrady, all guys that jumped ship and left. So DeMar DeRozan, I think, holds a special place in a lot of Toronto fans' hearts. You're speaking about the Oscars earlier, and I know the Knicks got a little shout out tonight in the Oscars from one Samuel L. Jackson. They finally got a win tonight.
They did. He shouted out to Spike Lee. Spike Lee, notoriously a huge Knicks fan. Yep. So what was this? 18-game home losing streak. Crazy.
Yep. Yeah.
But maybe intentional.
Yeah, very intentional. Very intentional. As in just trading away all the players that you have. Intentional. The Lakers, obviously, they're always in the news. I think we don't usually talk about them on this podcast, but I guess we will grace them with our presence tonight. Still outside the playoffs right now. LeBron said he's playoff activated, and it looked like it worked against the Rockets.
And then not so much in the next game.
All right, but let's focus on the Rockets game first. Because that was a big milestone win. Plus, Brandon Ingram looked like kind of the player that we've been waiting to see him B, as kind of another star, he had a big game in that one. James Harden was not very happy with some of the refs. Speaking of refs fixing games, no, I'm kidding, not at all. Just don't find me NBA. Just find James Harden. He was criticized for talking about the refs, and basically he fouled out of the game. And a lot of people say some of those charge calls towards the end were egregious. Do you think like James Harden actually has a beef? Like is right here?
It's tough for me to side with a guy who like his entire basketball game is built on drawing ticky-tack fouls.
Yes.
Maybe he did deserve those calls, but I'm not gonna jump to his defense.
It's like if you're James Harden, or if you're the Rockets, or if you are Rockets fans, like you can't just say, like you can't just go complain about the refs when you're only winning because of the refs. Like your whole system is about one player getting to the foul line and picking up some of those ticky-tack fouls. Like that's what he does.
Yeah.
So moving on, the Lakers did not do so well with the next game against the Pelicans. Anthony Davis sitting out that game, and somehow the Pelicans got the win over the Lakers. So Dell Demps can rest in peace in unemployment as the Pelicans top the Lakers. And LeBron saying, they need to stop being comfortable with losing. It seems a little too casual around there. Like, does this team have the mentality, you think, to actually make that push with LeBron? Well, LeBron's playoff mode's activated, but are these other guys?
This looks like a little bit of Kyrie Irving leadership, if you ask me. Let me criticize my teammates and hope they play better after I do that.
I mean, he really does. I don't know if he has any other options though, because like these guys just they're there one night against getting a tough comeback, come from behind win against the Rockets, and then you lose to the Pelicans, who don't even have Anthony Davis.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's probably very well correct in that. I just think you can say that in the locker room, but we know that's not LeBron's style. He wants everyone to know what he's thinking, and he wants to motivate guys strategically. I think is probably something he would say by going to the media when he needs to.
Hey, that's what the media is there for. Not at all. Not at all. As a member of the media, that's not what we're here for. But we are here to report awesome stories like Space Jam 2 finally getting a release date in 2021. Danny, I know you're very excited for this. Do you think it's going to live up to the billing?
Oh, absolutely. It's LeBron and aliens playing basketball. What more could you ask for?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, we all love Space Jam. Why can't LeBron do his own Space Jam? So
the crazy thing is that LeBron is one of the aliens. So this is going to be wild.
Wild. All right. Speaking of the Pelicans, their new GM or interim GM, Danny Ferry, he wants to sit Anthony Davis for the rest of the season. I think that's kind of what the organization wants to do. So they're going to try and talk to the NBA, see if that's a possibility. Obviously, Davis missed the other night. And he's also, left the arena before the game was over, saying he was injured. So do you think it's best for the NBA, best for the Pelicans, best for Anthony Davis if he just sits out the rest of the season?
No, this is crazy to me. The Pelicans want permission from the NBA to tank when no one else in the league is allowed to. Anthony Davis isn't even a free agent after this year. He's a free agent a year and a half. Get on the court and play basketball for your team.
I would agree in that sense, but then, I think about the whole Kawhi Leonard situation. He was out for a year, and whether he actually had this injury or not, I don't know. Whether it was as severe or not as severe as was reported, I don't know. But I do believe that maybe Anthony Davis just needs to step away from the media attention right now and just kind of lay back, Kawhi Leonard style. Go disappear for a couple months and just not talk to anyone. Maybe that would be best for this situation. Speaking of a guy who probably needs to, go take a break from talking to the media, Kyrie Irving certainly did his little bit of flirting during All-Star Weekend, as is expected.
Yep.
With Mr. Kevin Durant. You think he's trying to recruit Kevin Durant to the Celtics?
Now that would be great.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about this. Back when the Celtics tried to get Kevin Durant, you know who they sent to recruit him? They sent Tom Brady, and they sent Kelly Olynyk.
Yep.
No wonder Kevin Durant didn't go. He's like, I'm going to play with Kelly Olynyk? I don't think so.
And now Kelly Olynyk is in Miami.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I think, Kyrie is just one of many NBA players who's tired of, similar to KD, tired of the media or social media reading into, them joking around. And I get it, but some of these guys, they really just need to, I don't know, like, it's not going to change just because they get upset. So.
But. Yeah, no, like, you need to stop getting upset. But I will say that ever since, Team USA, when Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade and LeBron were playing with each other, and they kind of cracked this idea up of playing together, people are just laser focused in on trying to find, who's talking to who's kind of like buddying up and stuff like that, because they've seen like this stuff that they do in their free time actually does show up on what teams they pick in free agency and all that other stuff.
Yeah, the best one is like, where did they buy a house? Like, people track LeBron buying houses in LA, so he came here. Now people are tracking Kawhi Leonard. He just bought a house in LA, so they're like, oh, Clippers or Lakers maybe. So, yeah. It's fun. It's fun to kind of speculate where this guy's going to go based on his one laugh with another player.
Now, this is one that I really wanted to get your thoughts on, because Marcus Smart, just, we talked about before how he just, Bill Simmons thinks he's one of the guys that, one of the only guys in the NBA that can get in a fight and whatnot. And now he comes out and says, the NBA is soft now, and there's not a lot of guys that would, take a hit or something like that. You agree with Marcus?
Well, it is funny because Marcus Smart's like the king of flopping, but
yeah, I know.
But he does. I will say he's willing to like actually take a charge, like more than most people in the NBA. And he's willing. They played the Bucks the other night. He's just going in, grabbing the ball from Giannis, and so I think there is that kind of like rough and tumble mentality that most players don't have, and especially not the best players, because they don't want to hurt themselves or exert themselves that much. So I agree overall.
I agree with him, but like, do we like? Everyone always brings up, how physical like the 80s and 90s were. Like, do we really want that kind of basketball? Like, no, we don't want that. Like, the game has evolved away from that because it's just not smart. Like, you don't need to be like throwing punches around and stuff, like
breaking hands, breaking faces.
This is a funny story. A story I'm working on right now. A player said that he originally didn't want to play basketball. He was like 6'5" when he was 14 years old, but he didn't want to play basketball because his only image of basketball was Ron Artest running into the stands.
Oh no!
At the Malice at the Palace and that whole fight situation. Like, that was his only memory of basketball, so he didn't start playing basketball until he was in high school because of that. So like, that's not the basketball we want. Like, yes, it's fun to reminisce and talk about and stuff, and talk about the bad boy Pistons and whatnot, but and the Jordan Bulls and all that, those rough teams, but we don't need that. We are good. I am good with the Warriors. I just wish they would. I just wish they would end soon so we can move on to what's next. But including Giannis Antetokounmpo might be next.
Yes,
it's one of those next dynasties, and you saw the Bucks beat the Celtics, and it was glorious. Chris Middleton draining that three to put the Bucks up ahead for good.
He really did.
Yeah, I'm impressed by the Bucks, but you don't need to hear that from me because I've been saying that all season long.
Yeah, no, they look great, and I mean, obviously, I'm a Celtics fan. I'm a big believer in them, but I definitely think the Bucks are the team to beat in the East. They have not only Giannis, but outside of Eric Bledsoe, they have a really great cast around him. Everyone can shoot. Chris Middleton, I think, is a really good player. I like him a lot.
I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's cute," Chris Middleton getting his little All-Star bid and stuff. He gets to go play in the game. It's so cute. It's adorable. But then he goes out there and he's balling. Like, this dude's a legitimate All-Star player. He just doesn't get the respect that because he plays in Milwaukee next to a guy like Giannis. Giannis is a transcendent superstar, so it doesn't really matter where he plays. Chris is kind of like a complimentary Robin to his Batman star, so it's harder for him when you're in a market like Milwaukee. But yeah, he's a star, and you've got Bledsoe, and you've got Nikola Mirotic now, Brooke Lopez, Malcolm Brogdon. Shout out to UVA guy. So like that's a solid team. But Kyrie still thinks, even though the Bucks won the season series, Kyrie still thinks they can win against anyone in a 7-game series.
Where I'll give him credit is I think the Celtics have a shot against anyone in 7. Might not win it, but they got a shot.
I would agree. I think that the Celtics could give anyone a good shot. If they get the 76ers, then they're definitely winning that series because Al Horford doesn't just rent land and rent property in Joel Embiid's mind, but he owns it. He owns the property. And he is renting it out.
Renting it back.
Yeah, it's like a slum thing.
Man.
Al Horford just destroys Joel Embiid, and what else is there to say about the Celtics team? Like, they've had the potential. We've said it all season long, but can they actually get it together for a 7-game series?
Yep, and definitely I think some of it's going to come down to seeding. Like, they need to be a top 4. They can't fall to 5.
Yeah. I think that was it about Celtics.
Whoa. One other thing here. My dad texted me and wanted me to call you out because you got one of the Celtics' future draft picks drastically wrong 2 weeks ago.
But I said that it might be wrong at the time.
And it was wrong, and I'm here to correct it for the people. The Memphis Grizzlies pick is top 8 protected this year, top 6 next year, and then unprotected after that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Point being, it's a very good trade asset.
Possibly. I mean, I don't know. Still, are they giving up Jason Tatum? I'm still not convinced they are. But
we have the Memphis draft pick. That's all we're giving up.
That's all you're giving up. Danny Ainge pulls another fast one on the NBA. All right, but that is it for NBA talk for now. We'll be right back. Tim Tebow is ahead, Elon update, and we got some cool Instagram stuff this week. Loving it. Loving the crew. That's coming up next.
All right, guys. Thanks for waiting through yet another Brita Water commercial break. Good. Bye, Brita. All right, first up, Tim Tebow update. Tim Tebow's personal hitting coach has come out and said, "I would never doubt that guy." He said it. I don't doubt the guy.
You never doubt Tim Tebow. You never doubt Tim Tebow.
No one's doubting the guy.
I mean, I think he will. I think this will definitely be the year that Tim Tebow gets to the MLB. Like, everything's leading up to it. Is he going to be on the opening day roster? No, but he will be up there at some point this season. ESPN will go ballistic over it, and then he'll
get a movie next year.
He'll fade off into the sunset.
All right, Elon Phoenix update. Elon actually had their last home game of the year. Tyler Sebring at 24 points. Way to go, Tyler. But we did lose to Charleston Cougars. So, ending the season the way we started it.
Darn. Last home game in their inaugural season in the Schar Center.
Wow.
Emotional year for those Elon Phoenix.
I'm shedding tears.
I can only imagine. Rex of the week, Danny, you got any?
Oh, I do, because Tom Brady has shared a little bit about some of his pregame rituals that Giselle has him do before every game, and I like them. It's a lot of very esoteric, kind of
What's
astrological.
one of your favorite? What's one of your favorites?
My favorite is that he has rocks of protection that he like meditates with before the game, so that's why he doesn't get hurt.
Wow. Of course he
Yep.
does. Of course he does. Also, Rec of the Week is that Donaghy articles. Definitely suggest going to read that one. We'll have the link for that.
Yep.
Instagram update. NBA just, oh man. We had all forgotten about Ja Rule, but thanks to the Fire Festival that never was, Ja Rule has just made such a big comeback. And he actually was performing at halftime of the Bucks game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and during that halftime show, actually Giannis came out and started shooting like warm up shots for the second half in the middle of that. So clearly not interested in this, but the Timberwolves tweeted out a picture of it and said, "We too were hustled, scammed, bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray." And then Ja Rule responded by saying, "You just jinx yourself talking to the God this way. You're cursed now," in all caps. "You won't win a championship for the next 30 years, and Cat is leaving. Apologize, and I'll lift the curse. Kiss of death."
Classic Ja Rule, am I right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, if he's like as successful at like completely throwing a debacle of a festival as he is at cursing a franchise, like Timberwolves might want to pay attention.
My theory is that this will end up being a reverse curse. Because he tried so hard with the Fire Festival, so now that he's trying to make Minnesota bad, they're actually going to be great.
Oh wow! So maybe it's possible that Andrew Wiggins becomes the perennial all-star that we've been waiting for. Oh man, that petition, man. All right, another one. Cody Zeller. I sent you this one earlier the week. I told you to remind me. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome.
So Cody Zeller, flipping through the Slam magazine, says, "Oh hey, look, I made it into Slam," and he's flipping through. And there he is, kind of half of him, and like his face was cut off, but it was him. It was actually an article about Kemba Walker. Hilarious video, so go watch that.
It was really funny.
Pelicans, they won't stop trolling the Lakers, so that's just what they do. Magic Johnson said the Pelicans didn't have good faith in trade talks about Anthony Davis after they beat the Lakers. Pelicans win in good faith. That's what they tweeted.
That's a good. I love whoever's running these team accounts. It's fantastic.
They're stellar. They're stellar, man. We got the Timberwolves, we have the Pelicans, and we got a weekly sign off now.
Oh man, we got to do a 60-second sign off.
That's what we do.
Should we do this with Robert Kraft? No, definitely not. Let's do this.
No, that's too.
Let's do this with some NBA refs fixing a game.
All right.
You can be Donahue, and I'm gonna be
Donaghy. All right.
And I'm gonna be James Harden.
All right. How about Scott Foster? Since that's who was in that game.
All right. Let me set the timer. Dun, 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 dun. Rolling.
Whistle. Foul. On the bearded gentleman in the red. He was too foul-y, like too good. Yeah, too good. Foul on number 13, being too good.
I, James Harden, rip my beard off to reveal yet another beard. Throw the ball at Scott Foster, the ref, and demand you rescind the call.
Scott Foster then tees up Chris Paul just for being there, man. Like, Chris Paul, what are you doing, man? And Mike D'Antoni, just because you're right behind them, you get a technical too. You're both out of this game. James Harden, you're fouled out of this game. And I guess I'll just take my money now from Mr. Donaghy, and that's how you fix an NBA game.
Well, shoot, I lost.
Yeah, there you go. Take that, James Harden, and take that incredible 60-second story that we're going to sign off with yet again. So, Danny, that is another episode in the books. We will be back yet again next week. No books. No actual books. We don't read books. No, we don't read books. All right. So we'll see y'all next week.
All right. Bye, guys.